All right, made it.
Hey. So
Looks like we're the only ones here so far.
yeah, and somebody recently suggested that for my the Here to There show that it would be better if I had who's I was going to be talking to, and it's just like, yeah, absolutely. It's going to take a shitload of time,
Yeah.
and I just don't.
You're streaming to YouTube already, right?
I've already streamed. Yeah, I've already started on that. Yeah.
Yep.
And actually, I'm just going to record also because I generally do both just in case. And it might be a very short conversation if yeah, which it's not as if I don't have a shitload of other stuff I have to do. I should stop swearing because we're on YouTube. I'll probably erase this. So yeah, so the breakout rooms are pretty straightforward as I look at them, because it's like I've never really played it before, but it's like as I'm looking at it now, you have how many breakout rooms you want. Do you know if they have a maximum on that?
I believe it would be just maximum the same amount as your account would have.
Okay, because I'm clicking up to 20. So that would be how many I would have on my account. That was specified.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you mean like the number of breakout rooms you can create? I think it's I've never tried maximizing out, to be honest, but I mean I've only ever needed like 4.
Right. So doesn't seem to be a stretch. One woman just did not sign on. She did RSVP for it, but we have Ming joining us, and we'll see who else is going to be here. Hello, Ming. Welcome to the Here to There show. We're just going to wait to see how many more people are going to join us before we get going. It's a very informal show today. They're always very informal, but this one even more so. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you let us know what industry you're in, Ming?
Software.
Software? Oh, what kind of software?
I work for SAP.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was in a meeting this morning with SAP. So I was in with them last week and this week, so that's kind of funny. So how long have you been with SAP?
1.5 years. Yeah.
Okay. I wear another hat where I'm the CMO for Expanse AI, and we're looking at putting something on the apps in the app. I guess it's not store, but on the apps for SAP, and also brings being a service provider for software and whatnot. What kind of software do you write? Do you have I'm assuming you have a specialty?
I used to be a software developer, but no longer. So my current role is an agile coach. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, an agile coach, I don't know if I know what that is.
Agile Scrum.
Yeah. Oh, the Scrum. I've heard the Scrums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, my accent.
Oh, no apology necessary. No. Depending on who I talk to, I'm the one that has the accent on that. So cool. Well, thank you very much. Welcome, John. How are you today? Hey, Chris.
Hey.
You guys get to be our guinea pigs today.
Great.
What John goes, what exactly does that mean? And will it cost me anything? So it is they widen your gaze. Wow, I'm still stuck on Friday. It is the Here to There show. Welcome. We're going to see who else joins, but we're going to get started right now. Because Friday is a holiday. Well, I'm choosing not to have a webinar on Friday because Thursday is American Thanksgiving, and pretty much everyone let me know, or when I was talking to Americans saying, yeah, don't expect anyone to show up on Friday. So I didn't schedule. I don't have a widen your gaze segment on Friday, and I have Colin with me here today, who recently spoke. He's been a guest presenter twice, and say hello to the audience, Colin.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me back, Luke.
Yeah. And on December 3rd, December 2nd. What's
Second,
Wednesday? Yeah, December 2nd. We are going to be doing a new segment. I'm going to be doing a new segment in partnership with Colin. And I had this very smart man suggest to me that I should be doing networking events. And he happens to be here on the call. And Chris, yeah, I'm talking about you, Chris. Chris is not only is he my virtual assistant that helps me with all my meetups, but he's the one that also in essence suggested the Here to There show. And he also suggested that I look at maybe doing some sort of networking events and whatnot. Because Chris, just if you wouldn't mind sharing, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, you know this coming down, is you've noticed a lot of people going to network events, and that's why you thought it would be a good idea.
Correct. So I think it's actually partly because of Luke's shows that sort of kind of brought me back into Meetup. And when I looked through Meetup, I noticed that there's so many networking events just going around all over the place. And I've just kind of tried my hand at creating my own networking events just to see, how far I would get. And I'm actually getting getting some people subscribing.
Yeah, you're getting some great traction, aren't you, on that?
Well, it looks good, and I've noticed that when I start connecting with people on LinkedIn, it's like, okay, I'll see the whole networks of if I see someone say, okay, this person's connected to a bunch of people from this show, I know this is this kind of person, and if I see people connected to there's a Vancouver group, then they're more like this kind of person. And I've been really thinking it would really be awesome to, that all of us who know Luke to have a better connection than just seeing each other on the sidelines.
Right. And the thing, you made a really good point, and that was, after people see your content, Luke, they have no reason to come back. And I'm going, yeah, that I know that. And so this is a way of actually having that. So Chris really did help me out with seeing that the necessity of doing something else and also networking event. Chris, do you want to give a quick explanation about your meetup groups and when they are? Do you want to get that information and now you can show it, or what would you like to show your meetup page? Might as well get a plug out for your group.
Sure.
Okay. So let me give you the ability to share. And while you get that set up, I'm just going to check in with a few other people here. So if that's you, okay, does that work for you?
Okay. Awesome.
So you have that. I see we have Scott joining us and whatnot.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? How was your weekend?
Too short, of course.
Too short, of course, always. Okay, we're getting some sort of feedback. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I'm hearing my voice come through, so I might have to start muting people on that. So before Chris, just interrupt and let me know when you're ready to do that. What's going to be a bit different about today's Here to There show is Colin and I are going to be having conversations, but in further to our desire to have a networking event, we really want to get your guys' input on what you would find valuable and what you would look for in a networking event. And so that's why you're the guinea pigs for this today, but what would be really beneficial? And also if you could share what industry you're in, that would also be very helpful also. So first of all, in the chat, or you can, because there's only like 7 of us on the call, in the chat, you can actually write it in there, or just unmute and say, what industry you're in to begin with, and what you would find valuable in a networking event. Those are the questions we want so far, right, Colin? Yep. Okay. So Scott, you're in supply chain management, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Probably put you on the spot there. Okay.
Yep.
And Ming said he's in software.
Yes.
Escher and Scrum, which is, I'm still not 100% certain what that is, but I've heard of it quite a bit on that. And John, you are in Liz. Hey, Liz. Nice to see you with us today.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. So you are John. I'm sorry. I threw you out there, and then I saw Liz as a squirrel, right? Like my attention deficit
Mhm.
comes through on that. So the tutoring business. What kind of tutor are you?
I tutor mainly K through 8, but I also do test prep for older kids.
Hmm.
SAT, ACT,
Okay.
GRE, ED, ESL.
And are you more busy or less busy now that with COVID?
I was more busy for a while because I was doing homeschooling, but those people that I was working with moved, so now I'm less busy.
Okay. Okay. Because it's kind of interesting. There's certain industries out there that are just absolutely dead in the water and not moving forward. Right, Colin? As a live performer, you're pretty much you're having to pay people to get in front of them.
Yeah, I'm not paying anybody, but they asked me to pay them. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what's changing there, right? And that it's just because there's so many people out there. There's and then you're not working on that.
Mhm.
So Liz, when you say that you're looking to get new clients with Zoom to use with Zoom on that, how are you doing that? How are you getting in front of people, or is that do you have a strategy yet? Or are you working on that?
Well, I use an online job site that I've been using, but I'm also trying to do more networking with groups like this. And it doesn't
Right.
have to be, I would do in-person tutoring too, but as far as groups like this that are obviously not in my area, I would need to get clients that I would work with online.
Right.
Um,
Right. So yeah, we're always looking to get more work, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And John, are we going to come circle back to you now? You were accounting. You're an accountant.
I'm an accountant by trade, done financial advising, and I've actually done software development on tax planning software. So let me see. I want to make sure I get his Ming. I can totally relate to you. I was in an agile development for, gosh, at least 8 years. So I can relate to the Scrum and all that good stuff. And Luke, you had a great question. You was like, what would help us, with this networking? And of course, you really have to understand what the other people are looking to do, right? So to the extent that we all help each other articulate succinctly what we're looking for, and the better we know what each other is looking for, the more helpful we'll be able to be to each other. So to me, just having those conversations of, here's my ideal client. This is what I'm looking for. Here's the value that I offer. I think these are the things that'll really help this networking group, and also the location. So like Elizabeth is new. I went on to LinkedIn, but I don't know which Elizabeth Burek she is. There's 3 of them. And so just even know where she's located would help.
Right. Okay. So Elizabeth, do you want to answer that? Oh, you live in New
I
Jersey.
didn't realize that there were 2 other Elizabeths on LinkedIn. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that, but I'm from New Jersey,
Right. You said that
United
in the
States.
chat. I just realized
So maybe
that.
those are people in other countries even. Possible.
So, well, one is in Raleigh, Durham, and one is in greater New York City area. And oh, wait a minute.
Maybe
Are
that's
you
me.
the
I'm greater
tutor
New
at
York.
SPAR? Are you the tutor at SPAR?
SPAR is a different company. I worked in different industries. So yeah, I might want to change that profile because there were 2 other industries I was working in, merchandising and mystery shopping.
All
And
right, so now I see which
I
one
don't
you
really
are. So
want to
you're the
do,
greater New York area.
yeah, I don't really want to do that during COVID because I don't find it safe to be,
Right.
working in stores. So I don't know if I should temporarily maybe take that off. I'm not sure. I know it's confusing because it's probably better to be in one industry than in so many industries.
What area of New Jersey are you in?
Northern New Jersey, right by New York, but I don't like to commute to New York, so. I know there are
I'm-
opportunities in New York, but it's very expensive to go over there, and the parking and the tolls and everything. By the time you get a job there, half of your, money is gone just in commuting, so.
Crazy.
Plus-
Have you checked
Plus
out
it's a
any of the
little
big
scary
tutoring
with all the
centers?
people there. Tutoring center, I was working for a few tutoring centers, but a lot of them, in the area, they're small. The ones that I was working for were the Korean ones, and they pretty much closed up because of COVID. So I'm not really going that route right now.
Well, no,
Going
I
more
was wondering
private.
about like either Huntington, Sylvan, even I forget what is it, A+ or whatever. I'm in Middlesex County, New Jersey. So
Oh, is this Scott talking?
yeah, this is Scott.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Oh, okay, neat.
Actually, my wife works for Huntington. I'm trying to
Oh,
think
wow.
of the other one. Hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, your wife's a tutor also?
Maybe she just works at the company with.
I'm sorry, what was that, Luke?
I just wondering if your wife's a tutor also.
My wife is a tutor for how
Oh.
many?
20.
That's interesting because,
Yeah, she
I
used to
knew
work 20 and a half years doing math, SAT prep mostly, some floor work.
Ah,
So she mostly does SAT prep.
okay. And is she with us on the call today?
She's actually getting ready to go to work now, so she
Oh, okay.
just got out of the shower. She popped in when I asked her a question.
Ah, well, hello,
Because
Mr.
when I was
Scott.
muted, I met somebody back when things lessen up a bit. I went to a local bar that had patio dining, and there was a girl there who ran an office that was in Staten Island and one that was up the mountain somewhere around I even know where up the mountain. And she was moving to Middlesex, but she was another big learning center. I forget the name of it though. But she said they were always looking to hire people. And
Yeah,
they pay a
the
lot better.
problem with that is,
Huntington does not
I'd
pay
rather
well.
get private clients because they pay like 4 or 5 times the amount. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what Huntington's paying, but I know
Crap.
they take at least half of what you make. And
Oh yeah, easily. Yep.
I've also had I knew somebody that worked for Huntington in the local area. And she was basically just, told me it was a nightmare there. So it didn't
Oh
help
yeah, they have a bad.
with their reputation.
My wife has seen the turnover, and some of the other.
Mhm.
We had somebody from church in another office. So yeah.
Right.
Hated
So I mean,
hated it.
I'm more comfortable sticking with the smaller Korean companies. They pay
But
better.
then she does somebody personally and way
Mhm.
undercharges them.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can give me some tips so she can tell you some tips of
Yep.
how she's getting her clients outside of Huntington.
She's only had one. I
Pass it
think
along.
it was contact through church.
Oh, through church. Okay. Yeah, word of mouth works.
Yep.
It's always about the word of mouth and the referrals on a lot
Right,
of
that's
it.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So John, I just want to circle back to what you said, because I just want to make sure I captured that. And that, so what are you saying, that people are having a hard time really being able to identify who their ideal client is, and that they need help with
No.
that?
I mean, if I'm going to be able to throw someone to Liz's way, right?
Yeah.
I have to be able to know exactly what she's doing so that I send her the right type of client.
Right. Because
And,
you don't
I
want to
don't
be.
want to waste her time, and I don't want to waste my connections time by sending them to someone who really can't help, because that
Okay.
makes me look bad if I'm sending them to the wrong location. So in order for me to be helpful to other people, to know exactly what they're doing, their ideal client, how they operate, because people are going to ask me first, right? Hey, what does she do? Or what does Scott do? Or what does Colin do? Or Chris, and I have to be able to articulate that, to the right people. And they're gonna look to me to do that first screen. And I also have to know that these guys are the real deal, that they're effective at what they do.
makes perfect sense because you're going on your reputation if they get late, so, and depending on how important that referral is to you, you're not going to want to send them somebody quite good that's going to have that. So and also Colin and I used to be I used to belong to BNI. He still does. And one of the things is that we know you don't always send your best leads until you know if the person's trustworthy.
Exactly.
So we have to minimize those type of things on that. Chris, you ready to talk about your meetup? So I gave you, Chris is going to talk now about his meetup, and you should be able to share, Chris.
Okay. So everyone should be able to see my window, my screen.
Yep.
So, yes, so I've been taking a major shift and semi-pivot this year because of the economic changes to get more and more deeper into the professional networking. And I was starting to think that it would be nice to find a good way to connect professional people together and look for ways to help professional people increase visibility. And my premise is that there are many very, very talented professional people that can create a lot of value, but they not be the best at promoting themselves, and they may not be the best at business networking, and so on and so forth. So I've been starting some groups on Meetup to basically bring professionals together for networking, and networking, actually both networking and masterminding, to basically look for ways to develop synergy and develop global reputation. So I am going to show you. So this is the first group that I'm starting with. This is basically in my hometown, Providence. And so I just call it BizTech Professional Networking. And we just bring people together basically. And so I've got members have joined in. RSVP has been very, very low, actually non-existent. And so Providence, Rhode Island is actually pretty small. I think it's under 100,000 people, which is very small for a city in the States. So I've kind of set up, and so this group is starting from what I call BizTech to really focus on business technical, because that's sort of where my area of expertise and really area of the best confidence. I have set up, professional networking masterminds. I don't know how well people can see the whole title. You see it? Yep. Okay. It cut off on mine, got covered up, but so the focus is really more on professional, professional networking masterminds, masterminding. And I was actually, so I've set one up in Boston. I set up another group in New York City, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see more people coming in for the masterminding groups than for what I had set up as BizTech. I had expected the opposite, but this is what happened. And what I discovered is that the first meeting that I had, everyone really was into professional networking. So
everyone
wanted professional networking.
Okay.
People were not really ready to get super into masterminding. And keep in mind that this is really my first time on, hosting on Meetup itself as well. So that was kind of both a new concept and new at the hosting was a bit interesting. And so the first event, someone really came out of the audience that really was very competent, and he was very, proved to be very, very helpful. He had an idea to just set up a forum on groups.io, which is by Google. And it just, so I did go ahead and set that up. And I think it was last week that I decided to, so on the masterminding group, I just added, Tech Pro Meet and Greet Online, which is to actually go at the same time as the BizTech group to bring people together. There was another major BizTech professional group that I set up, based it in Philadelphia, and ended up getting quite a few people who really seem to be very interested. So I'm kind of bringing, for now, pretty much be bringing most of the people together for the essentially technical professionals meet and greet for now, and we'll just see what happens going down the line. And I'm going to show. Professional networking masterminds in New York City is just pretty much a clone group. And okay, so
you already have 87 people.
Hang on. Give me one. Sorry about that.
Well, sorry, it seemed to throw you off there. Didn't mean to do that.
No worries. So 87 people. Yeah, this is really interesting. So 87 people signed up in New York City, and New York City, I was thinking, would probably be one of the most competitive areas to set up a group. But so it's interesting. So I got like 87 people signed up as members. I think I got 10 signed up for the first session and 5 showed up, more or less, from New York City. This time we got 5 signed up this time. So yeah, people just come and go. And I think it will probably take some time to, in terms of managing, if there's any difference between expectation and reality, it may take time to really find out, what people are looking for and what people are getting, and so on and so forth. So the most important thing is that, as long as people get to connect to each other and know each other, that is really the most important thing to me at this point.
So tell me, are they're weekly or bi-weekly?
So I started, they are bi-weekly.
Every 2 weeks, not twice a week.
So every 2 weeks, yes. yes, good. Yeah. Yes, good. Let's see. So, and I started, there's a couple other groups. I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'll show them really
quick.
Fast.
Yep, really quick, please.
Okay, so web design and development, lunch hour was in Providence. I took it over in the summer, and actually I got some people from out of town were also very interested. They didn't see a lot of them around, so I'm probably going to look to set up some clone groups as well. Which is very interesting. And another, small business applications. I set one in Boston. So a few days ago, I already got 23 members, and I got, after myself, 7 RSVPs. I expect probably, if I expect more or less half of them to show up, that would be awesome. This is on Monday, December 7th. So this group is, small business applications. So this group, I'm basically, this is pretty new. I'm basically set this up to promote, to help people and also promote the services that I am the most confident in. So I'm finding this year more and more people, there's plenty of programs out there, plenty of developers, plenty of shops out there, but there are times when, just to talk through, needs, requirements, expectations, how to specify, because if you specify the project correctly, then developers, it'll go much better with developers. And if you don't specify the project correctly, there's there's less chance of satisfaction on both sides. That's to make a long story short. So this is what I'm, just brand new, essentially to, as I said before, bring people together and get to more and more people to know
So
my
it's
services.
kind of like, it's almost like best practices or how to set up success is what this is about. Is you're giving them tricks and strategies on how to make sure that their meetup or that their projects go well. Is that right?
Actually, that's probably what I should do. Which is good. So I'm really, my purpose is to help people, bring people together and really promote my services that can help more people. And I think, so I think teaching is going to be more and more important.
Well, and I know that the traction I get is if you bring a lot of value to people, they will, they will come back and they will hire you once they get to know you. I just someone just set up a elevator pitch diagnostic, like they just paid for one for next week on that. So yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, well, thanks a lot, Chris, for sharing that, and we wish you a lot of success, and I look forward to getting your insights as to what's working and what's not working. So
thanks.
Yeah. So if you just want to stop sharing your screen so we don't, okay, excellent. Okay.
Do
So
you think he could put
sorry.
something in the chat? So if we want to join his group?
oh, that
I
would
will
just be
definitely-
really, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Put
link?
everything into the chat. And I did receive I received a question. I will answer the question in the chat as well.
Okay. Colin just had to he just had to step away, so he will be back. He's here right now. He's just had to step away, turn off his screen for a second on that. So you're gonna put that stuff in the chat so people
Actually, take 1 minute if you don't mind to answer the question. Can you briefly explain masterminding? So I have two definitions of masterminding. One is that mastermind is someone who can plan an operation involving multiple people to do something, and it could be building a new business, it could be a crime. Either one of those things is that's one definition, and the other definition is it comes from Napoleon Hill's very famous book is when two or more minds get together, there is more insight from multiple minds getting together. And that actually comes comes from the New Testament, where of course Jesus said that when two or more people get together, that I am there. That's where the whole idea comes from. So these are the two ideas of masterminding. And so some people only use one. I use both.
It's interesting because that would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right?
Correct.
Yeah, on that. Yeah. And when I read it many years ago, I don't recall that specifically but yeah, I think the question is really good, Liz, because I would think that if you ask 5 people what a mastermind is, you'll probably get 7 answers, because it's just like, it's one of these terms that's thrown out there and on that. So
I can't take credit for that. That was somebody else's question.
Oh, okay. My mistake. Okay. So yeah. And how I see a mastermind is generally you have the, I would actually draw it from Gestalt theory, where the sum is greater than the parts. So everyone brings something together, and then what comes out of that is greater than what you could do individually on that. So, okay. So the questions we were asking and and I know, John, you did address this, or you were talking about some stuff on that, but I'm just going to formalize the question. And Colin, the question is, what we talked about this, what would be valuable for people? We spent some time thinking about that. Remind me what the question was.
The question is, what what would you find valuable in a networking event? So I'll give you a little bit of a context of what we're sort of planning. We're looking at about a 90-minute function, and we're going to have about a 15 to 20-minute sort of educational, because we're calling it Connect and
Learn.
Learn. And so 15, 20-minute education portion that can be applied directly to some networking, where we're going to break people off into breakout rooms so they can network with that specific education in mind. And then we're going to do that 3 to 4 times, depending on how, about 15, 20 minutes, depending on the size of the group and how we can process that throughout that entire time period. It's not necessarily about connecting with every single person there, because if it's a large number of groups, we're still going to have at maximum probably 4 breakout sessions. But the idea is to be able to connect on that educational level, and then finish off with some education debrief and those kinds of things at the end. That's sort of the context of what we're looking at. And then so during, I guess, the education portion, what would you find valuable? And during a breakout session, what would you find valuable so that you can connect with the people that are in the room?
So who would like to help us out with this?
I'll go. Will there be an ability, like if I'm in a physical networking event, I'm going to be able to isolate and talk with one person and get to know them one-on-one. Will there be opportunities to be able to have one-on-one conversations, or no?
I think that's a really good question. We hadn't thought, I don't think we had talked about one-on-one, but I mean, I guess it depends on, number one, how large the group is, because Luke's got a couple of groups, and we're doing this in geographic areas. So Luke's got a large group here in Edmonton that we're going to sort of invite and go for. And we can certainly do individual. The challenge is, because we're limited by time, typically what happens with individual contact, it happens more before when people show up early, and then more at the end when people show up or stay and stick around. So I think at the end of it, there'll definitely be opportunity to chat one-on-one for a little bit longer.
I think how many people show up will also dictate that. So if we have a small intimate group like this, then there would be that latitude and that ability to have those one-to-one conversations with the breakout rooms on that. And the thing that we're not wanting to get locked into is a very specific format, because we're here to meet your guys' needs, not our needs. So we want to make sure that it's valuable to you on that. So one-to-ones are a great idea. I think it really depends upon size and stuff and things like that.
Good.
And I think it's okay if you do it before and after, but just some ability. Are you going to be using Zoom? Because I don't know that there's an ability for individuals to, go off in their own chat room.
Yeah, there is. In Zoom, we can do breakout rooms where people can be with a small group, or we can do it with just 1 or 2 people as well. Absolutely.
But I would say, during the main event, you probably want the groups a little bit larger.
Yes, during the main event, we could do larger, but afterwards, if somebody wants to do a breakout room portion, just one-on-one, we can set up a breakout room for those 2 people just requesting it. That's quite easy to do. The other thought, as you're saying that, is maybe instead of doing 3 sessions at 20 minutes apiece, we could do 6 sessions at 10 minutes apiece, but it's one-on-one. Of course, it does depend. I mean, we're starting it off. I think to start off with, we're going to do small groups and give them group activities to network. But I do like that idea. Maybe we even have an offshoot after the first 90, after we test this all out, after the first 90 minutes, maybe we have an offshoot where people stick around for an hour and you get 10 minutes for individual one-on-one time, or 15 or something like that. That's a neat idea, concept. I like that.
Or you could just put it in the chat, having people that are interested in each other, they can just chat to each other and send their information and connect later on.
Connect later as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, people will be able to trade their information within the groups and those kinds of things. I don't know. I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on that subject matter? Because I'm sure we've all been on a large Zoom group calls where people just spam all their information to everybody, and it sort of gets lost in because somebody talks about something and they just want everybody to have their information. I typically don't even write down people's information if they spam like that, because it's just it's spray and pray versus let's have a real conversation. What do you guys think about that? Yeah.
Regarding the breakout rooms, maybe there's somehow you can put people together that have similar interests, or just an idea, or industries.
It's absolutely, that's definitely been on our radar. So that's an outstanding suggestion, Liz, on that.
And that way they can, help each other out with ideas.
So the one challenge with that, not really a challenge, but it's great to be in a room full of like-minded industry related fields, but also people come for networking. I guess it depends on the purpose they come for the networking. If they want to network within their industry, that's one reason to come. But if they want to network in order to broaden their connection base, they're something more akin to BNI, where each group has a seat so that there's
this is kind of how I see it, that if we have let's say people showing up who are in MLMs, I'm pretty sure that someone from a Prime America would really not want to be in the same room as someone from World Financial.
Yeah, that's
because that's not the purpose that they're going to go there. So there is that cross-pollination that you could have with that, but at a certain point, I think I'm assuming that if I'm wearing my video production hat, I'm not going to want to network with other video producers unless they have a specific problem that they can solve for me, like maybe I need talent or something, or I need to outsource some work. But
you could divide it up possibly into two different meetups or chats, as far as one time do it one way, one time do it another way, and then specifically people can choose which one they're looking for.
Yeah, I think really it's going to depend on as we progress who's in the room and how.
Well, basically what happens if everybody is updated their Zoom to the latest version, they can choose and enter and leave breakout rooms as they want. So you have a number of breakout rooms. You could even assign them with topics, and they can pick. So you can have 10 people in one room.
Good.
And have a whole bunch of empty rooms, or you can have all the rooms be 2 and 2. How you want to do some of that, or any ideas exactly with Zoom, would recommend there's a free workshop every Friday night.
Oh, right. This is no more bad Zooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I learned about it. We practiced the breakout rooms where you choose what breakout room you go into. And the idea is to practice by going around to multiple rooms, but there'll always be the one room that has like 12 people in it, and then nobody will be in another room. So when you're choosing it, it shows who's in what room. So if you're looking, like if I want to look for Liz to talk about my wife's tutoring, I can go in and go, okay, she's in the breakout room 5 or the candy cane room if it was a Christmas networking event.
Can you put that in the chat? As far, you said there's some that we can do Friday nights. Thank you.
Now, the one thing I actually got kind of scared away at first, and I know a couple people have, they say it's tips the first part and then questions and answers the second part.
Yeah.
Other than like the tip of how to do breakout rooms, if you go in the beginning and think, okay, I'm not really getting anything out of it, 90% of the information you will gain is the end of it.
Wow.
And it usually he has it 5 to 7. I forget the hours. Usually runs till 7:30, 7:45, and most of the information is at the end. Because I'm always anxious to get off the call and get out to the bar, but even though it's happy hour, I hold off. And so I always have a question or two that I'm waiting for. and my friend, I'm supposed to pick him up and I'm late. But yeah, most of the information is usually at the end of the call.
And do you like that, or would you rather have it at the beginning?
Oh, personally, I think it would be better in the beginning, only personally because usually my dinner ends up being towards the end, and I cut it short and go out to the bar because I'm in New Jersey, and we only have till 10 o'clock.
Ah, okay.
So I kind of want to get out because it's my one night that my friend's off from work because he works nights, and we just still go out a little bit before it gets too bad.
Right, but regardless of your need to that you're cutting it short, which would you prefer, to have the information at the beginning or at the end, Scott?
Well, the whole thing is he collects all the questions during the first part, so I guess logistically it does make sense.
Okay.
But it's bad for a lot of people because I mean I heard from several others that have kids and everything else, and like he has kids and all, but his wife has dinner ready at 7:30. They eat 7:30 at night.
Okay.
Which, like to my wife, that's too late to be eating. But then we always are anyway.
Right. Okay, so
one thing about that that we have to be cognizant of, I believe, is on older devices that the breakout room selection is not necessarily, and on the phones and stuff like that, you don't have the same.
Actually, to what I've experienced, as long as you have Zoom itself updated to the recent update, it should work. And I'm on a Windows 97 machine, and I was able to update. Another person on the call had her computer's at least 10 years old, and she was able to do the updates and do it.
It's the devices such as tablets and phones. Older tablets and phones, you don't have the same functionality. Like
Correct.
my iPhone 6 doesn't have the functionality that my iPhone.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for Zoom, hopefully one thing about the pandemic, it might get this curve back again. I mean, a computer is a computer. A phone is a phone. Yes, it's good when you're out to be able to do something, but your primary device for computing should not always be a phone or a tablet. If you're doing computer work, your idea should be on a computer. And there's a lot of people, they can't mute themselves. They can't unmute because they're calling in. I mean, yeah, I go onto my Chromebook when I have my third meeting going because it's my third device that I can be right here. And it sucks because I can't save the chat or anything else. I got to cut and paste it to a Word document or have somebody send me the chat. So yeah, the limitations on a device or a tablet or phone are very limited. But the idea is to really try to go on either a computer or a laptop.
I do get that, but from my experience on these events, like we've had people phone in, Zoom in on phones. Like 90% of the time, I'm actually on my phone. This is one of the few times I'm actually whipped out my computer to do the Zoom call today, just because it's much easier and faster to do it on my phone than it is to do on the computer for most of the stuff that I do. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that I think a lot of users at this point in time are going to be on their phone. Especially if they've got kids and their kids need the computer for schoolwork and they don't have their own. Like there's a lot of people in that situation.
So we'll see what happens with that. And because we will get some sort of, we'll look at getting feedback after on that. And something we haven't mentioned is that this is December's our test pilot, where for the December
2, 9, and 16.
2, 9, and 16, thank you, is when we're going to be running these. And they're going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah.
And 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, calling my time. Yeah. The other thing is, I think it's what I would like to. So let's get everyone else to weigh in on what they would think. I'd love to hear what Ming, you have to say about what would be valuable for you in a networking event. Do you go to many networking events? And thank you very much for having your video camera on. It's always nice to see people, and I know not everyone can do that, which is fine, but it's still nice. So
yeah, so meetup used to be only local, right? So even local, because I live in Silicon Valley, so the traffic is so bad. So you want to go to a physical one is a lot of time is impossible. But now with the virtual, so I can join. I have been joining meetup on the East Coast, and then a lot of meetup I went to, there are people all over the world to join.
Yep.
So this create a lot of opportunity, right? So now you're not limit your networking to local people. You're networking with people all over the places, and that means they can bring additional idea for you. One thing for me to go to meetup is to hear different idea from different people. Because the more people you meet, the chance you get new idea probably is higher, right? So
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. But I think meetup, I think one thing is you have to make it clear what is your mission, right? So because at the same time, there's a lot of competition, right? In large city, this similar type of meetup, there can be 10 to 50 meetup, the same or similar type of mission, then how are you going to go and compete, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
So the way the host run it, I think is really crucial. So you set the tone and you set the mission. Yeah.
And what would be beneficial for you, Ming, to have? What kind of things would you like to learn, or what kind of would you rather do a group or one-to-one meetings with people? If you had your choice.
I think usually I attend, I will have multiple reasons, but top on my list probably is to learn something new.
Okay.
The networking for other people may be the second or the third on my list. But one thing I keep telling myself, so when you go to this, because think about no one pay for it, right? So it's a volunteer thing. So I keep reminding myself is I have to have a mentality of not just go there to receive. You should plan to go there and see what you can give to share with other people.
I like it.
Yeah, so it's really crucial.
Yeah.
If everyone only want to come and take, then hey, what's the point, right?
Right.
Who's going to give, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Great
Yeah.
point.
Yep.
That's actually really valuable to set, because we haven't written up the description yet, and to reflect that description of is that you get out what you give type of ideas. So okay.
Yeah, I have been to a meetup. They actually set up some kind of Kanban board, so people can put what they can give there. People can put down what they would like to receive, and then people look into that, and then offline they can connect with each other to help out each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna after we kind of go through what everyone has. I don't want to sidetrack. There's something I want to actually a model of something I do up here that was fashioned out of Silicon Valley. So
sorry, Luke. One more idea that I had is this from my own events. I've been thinking that every time, if I see a bunch of groups of people that are interested in different topics, say a bunch of people interested in tech, a bunch of people interested in healthcare, a bunch of people interested in marketing, then it would be possible to set up individual meetups or meetings for these, for the smaller interest groups. And, anyone would be welcome to join whatever meetup group they want, but just, if everyone comes together at once for the big event and then start making smaller groups. That's an idea that I had. And I think an interesting model for this is, if anyone has seen Happy Neighborhood Project has been setting up meetings like all over the place. And they have like a nationwide meeting, and then they have meetings for all the different cities, and everyone is welcome to join for each of the cities. But for the cities, there's sort of the focus is on to serve the people in each city. And I've actually joined all the way from Silicon Valley to a group in India, and I've actually enjoyed all of them myself. So that's that's not quite the same as my idea, but Just wanted to add,
Thank
just
you.
add it.
Oh.
And Luke and Colin, there's one thing I would like to add too. If you're going to be in a networking group like this, I think there needs to be in going on with what Ming said, there's got to be give and take. But if everybody, when they register, had a brief description of what they could give and a brief description of what they're looking for, that would help you pair people up more intelligently.
More intentionally. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. See, Colin's taking notes on that. So
Yeah, I was thinking about like 30 words or less, sum it up for each of those things, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if we don't say 30 words or less, it's going to be pages and pages of description. But we want them to be succinct, because that's the idea of any kind of networking, is being succinct and connecting. I think
It would be nice that the profile is saved, so I don't have to do it every time.
Yeah.
That I could go in and edit it later on.
I don't know if Meetup allows for that ability. Does it, Luke?
Well, there is a place where you can ask questions, and I saw that Chris bounced off the call. He might be coming back, but there's a place where you can ask questions, and I haven't done any more work since we talked last week about that, and I'll have to look into see where that is. Do you guys, when you go into meetups, do you have to answer? Do you have any meetups where you have to answer questions before you can go in, or what they're looking for?
I do.
Okay, on that, and that remind, because I haven't seen it for a while, because I don't go to meetups. I generally run them, and that's when you RSVP, you have to fill it out, right? That information.
That's right. And Luke, I think you're connected with Ron Moore from 40 Plus. Ron Moore and oh gosh, his name is escaping me. Sabri. Q, his first name starts with Q. Sabri. Those are the guys.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, but I could spell it even for you if you needed it.
Oh, please.
Hold on, I just have to find on my spreadsheet. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
So
I'm not in any networking groups, but with the regular groups, usually just to join, sometimes just to join the group, you have to meet certain qualifications, then answer questions. But then for each meetup, it's usually you can do whatever. You don't have to answer anything.
Okay.
It's QADDAFI.
Gaddafi. That's right. Gaddafi.
QADFFY.
It's double D's AFI.
AFI.
One thing I've noticed when joining a meetup, it has something like enter your email address and it says something about any questions you may have for the group, but it's in the same field that you enter your email address. So I have no idea how that works or whatever. And all I ever do is enter my email address. Okay. But there have been a few. It's like, what questions do you have, or what are you looking to get out of this meeting?
Yeah. Or tell us about yourself. Yeah, they have those kind of query on that. I'm just noticing we're at the top of the hour, and I show a video that in between the two. So I'm just going to take that opportunity now, and we're going to be seeing. So, Chris is back. Excellent. So let me just get this set up here, and then we're going to do that. And okay, I need to share. And this is this video is 1 minute and 27 seconds long, and it is on courage, the bare bones of courage. So do this here. Can you guys see my YouTube?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And just let me know if you can't hear the sound. I think I set it up, but here we go. Oh, if anyone has a problem with skeletons, there's a skeleton in here, so just warn you.
welcome back. This is Bare Bones Videos, and I'm Luc Bouchard, and this is my co-host Phil, who looks like he's getting ready to go out and play some hockey. So, Phil, you want to take it easy this time? Because last time you pulled a groin muscle, and you were complaining for a long time. And the time before that, you kept putting guys in the into the boards, and you spent a lot of time in the penalty box. I expect more from you, Phil. We'll see what quote you have for us today. It's from Marianne Radmacher, I'm not sure. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. Yeah, I like that. Phil, what are your words on Marianne? You are not a born winner. You are not a born loser. You are a born chooser. As usual, Phil, you're right on the mark. If you have a favorite quote, send it to us, and Phil will send you a picture of he and I having a grand old time. Thanks for watching. More videos will be coming up right away. You take care.
All right, so that shenanigans was brought to you by a skeleton and somebody who had too much time on his hands. So, and there's, like I said, there's 72. I got sent for work to go to Denver, Colorado, and I was walking around the streets asking for people's quotes. I didn't have my skeleton with me, but anyway. So thank you for indulging me on that, and they do get better. I have a green screen eventually.
To your name, to the name of your meetup group.
What's that?
I like the link of the skeleton with the bare bones. It goes
right.
very well.
Yeah, and that was actually the other reason. Well, I started the videos, and then I eventually had my video production company called Bare Bones Video Productions, and then I pivoted again to Bare Bones Communications. So, okay, so Colin, where were we with gathering the information? Do we still do we get everything? You're muted, buddy.
Sitting there talking to myself. There's a lot that we've got here to go over. I think the getting them to give us the one thing that they can give and the one thing that they're looking to receive ahead of time will help us sort of mix and match people, or at least I think it will. I guess it depends on what who participates. Ming also sent some really good resources on the breakout room requirements and operating systems and that kind of stuff as well. So it doesn't work on the Chrome operating system, I think, on iPhone, just says Chrome OS. But there's there's all kinds of stuff there. I sort of looking through it all. That's really helpful. Thank you very much, Ming. And I was reading through the notes here. Yeah, I feel like we've got more than enough to put this together and test it, and then see how it all comes together with the people who participate.
And then see what feedback they give us after that and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Cool.
What's your anticipated price to join?
Oh no, it's a loss leader. We're not charging.
Loss leader.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
at least a start. We're testing this thing.
Yeah. It's really about the traction and what value people get out of that, because it's a and quite frankly, there's also sustainability in the new year on that. So we need to see, because I don't know how much longer how far into the new year I'm going to still be able to offer my webinars, because my role with Expanse AI as the chief marketing officer is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm attending a pitch fest it's a virtual pitch fest on November 30th in Dubai, because they're trying to get sponsors, or they're trying to get investors. So I'm going to be at that. The problem is it's 1 o'clock my time. So on that, 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Dubai time. So there's we're just wanting to see what's going to happen. There's so much tenuousness in the world we live in and what we can do. So we're going to see what happens in December, and then it's a decision from there, right, Colin, that we're going to go from.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got lots going on, and I think it's would be a good opportunity right now for Colin to just talk about what he brings to the table, so you guys know what kind of outstanding training you can have from this man. He's a sales trainer. He's a hypnotherapist. He, up until recently, he was on stages doing this. He's done corporate training. He's written, how many books you got now, Colin? Five, six?
I'm working on my 5th book right now.
5th book right now. He's presented at every single network in the United States over 100 times, if I'm recalling that correctly, as TV interviews.
Yeah, TV networks. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure what you said about meant by network for half a second there.
Okay, yeah. So on that, so Colin does sales training, and he's hired by corporations for this. And one of the reasons, honestly, why I wanted to pair with him and to collaborate with him on this is that he brings a whole bunch of skills that are not even my wheelhouse. Like, we have very different, I'm about the messaging, he's about basically the sales and whatnot. So Colin, why don't you just take it there and share some of your skills and what you're going to bring?
Sure. I think the primary thing that I've developed my entire business on is hypnosis. So stage hypnosis performing, clinical hypnotherapy, helping clients one-on-one. And as I was performing, people kept asking me, how do I hypnotize somebody to buy my stuff? And I realized what they were asking was not how do I hypnotize somebody to buy things or to sell them. What they're asking is, how do I connect with somebody on so that person likes and trusts me, and then the relationship naturally develops, and then naturally they want to buy stuff or do business together. And it really came down to, as I was helping clients one-on-one, how to help them build their self-confidence so that they can connect and communicate on that emotionally intelligent, genuine level to create those friendships and meaningful relationships. And so I developed an entire training based on my work in hypnosis called Manipulate the Sale. And manipulation in the sense, like, you can look at manipulation 2 ways. There's the negative way, like with politics, Facebook algorithms, all the stuff that everybody's sort of familiar with. Your spouse telling you to take out the garbage that's my least favorite manipulation. But they had the positive manipulation would be things like, when you tie your shoe, you manipulate your laces. When you drive, you manipulate, steering wheel, gears, gas, brakes of the car. And so that's a positive physical manipulation. You manipulate what you have access to. That's, driving is a physical thing. You can manipulate emotions, friends, family, those kinds of things. And then thinking habits, and like, thinking habits can be manipulated, and thinking habits can also manipulate you. And out of that entire thought process of manipulation and thinking habits, I wrote my first book called Success Through Manipulation. And I chose the word manipulation because it was controversial. But there's also a positive and a negative aspect to it. Like, we're all being manipulated all the time. It's just a matter of being able to identify it and then doing something about it so that it's to your advantage. I mean, the negative manipulation would be things like bullies and peer pressure, people telling all those bad relationships, telling you what to do. But the positive manipulation is, identifying your preconceptions, your biases, the things that keep you from connecting with people, their preconceptions and biases, and your own preconceptions and biases. And so once you can get out of the way of those biases, then that's when the real friendship and the real connection develops. Like, we can all think about friends that we've known for years. We can even maybe not have even seen them, but as soon as you see them and talk to them and connect again, it's like no time has passed, because there's a real emotionally genuine connection with those people. And so the sales training I do is to give you the skills and develop the skills so that you can connect and communicate and create those real friendships in a duplicatable way, not in a fake way. Because we've all met people who try to be friends in a fake, like, quote unquote, manipulative way. And really, it's about getting out of those preconceptions and biases so that the real friendship can connect. And that's what I do. And I see a question here. You have a question for me. For Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, I meant to send it. Chris, I have a question for you. So I'm sending you. I sent Colin a message. I meant to send you the message, Chris. It's just,
there you go. There you go. That's
yeah,
fine.
on that. So it's interesting because in my as the role that I've somewhat recently secured with Expanse AI, one of my primary function is to actually figure out how to sell to a demographic who keeps who doesn't see the value in our services, and they have a major say in whether or not the services get used. And those are data scientists. And we need to basically have them on our side, because they can say yes or no to the software. And so part of about the company buying the software, and so what really came up very clearly is we're not relevant to them at all. They don't see any relevance that we have to them. And part of the thing is that my job is to basically identify our relevance to them and show them that. And it is manipulative. It is manipulative to be able to say that, we're going to leverage them in this way to be able to get them to buy into the services on that, right? Or we could be kinder and gentler and go, oh, we're just, we're going to influence them. Well, no, that's just another way of saying manipulation on that. So
I think what you got to focus on is developing the relationship to a point where they trust you, and then they naturally want to.
Yeah, there's this visual kind of, before we can build the relationship, some of them have already decided that it's not valid, and so we don't get that far. Mm-hmm. So it's like I said, it's been a very interesting process, or it is an interesting process on that. So, Chris, my question for you is, can you remind me where we set up the questions in Meetup to basically when we want to ask people questions? I haven't had to do that for so long. Where do you, is that when you set up a new group, you ask the questions, or?
Yeah, so the suggestion I got is to groups.io is the suggestion I got, because it's possible to ask questions on Meetup, but when Meetups, when people use multiple Meetups in multiple cities to bring everyone to the same event,
yeah,
then a discussion on one Meetup will not be seen by people who have gone through a different Meetup.
Right. But we're wanting to find out their information about, what they're, what are they looking for, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's so I think it is possible to set up an event, and I think before someone either joins a group Meetup or joins the event, or maybe both, I don't remember which one, it is possible to say that all attendees must answer this question.
Right.
So you could do that to get information. That's one way to go.
You can do it with both. I don't know how to do it, but I know that you can do it with both.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's just where we do it, and if it has to be done before an actual group is set up on that. But you and I will talk about it some more. I'll have to take a look, and then we'll talk about it, and I don't need to take everyone's time with this.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just the one other thing is, but if people want to have for discussions, if you want to have discussions online,
yeah,
a lot of people do Facebook groups. Someone gave me an idea. Groups.io is run by Google, but don't have to use a Google account to join a group on Groups.io. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other feedback? Because I am going to do a bit of a shift here. I'm just wondering if there's any other feedback that anyone has, or suggestions or thoughts. It's very valuable for us. Thank you for helping us mine some data on this. Any last thoughts before I change gears slightly? Okay. So this next thing is going to be for Ming, and there's because you're in Silicon Valley, and that's a very interesting image that you have behind you and your virtual background on that. Is that supposed to be San Francisco, or what's the body of water behind that, or Jeevan? And you're on mute. You're muted, Ming. So,
well, Silicon Valley, all the city in San Francisco Bay Area, they all claim they are part of Silicon Valley, right? So
okay,
it's never a clear definition. It's whatever a lot of city in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's why there's a bay there. So yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering on that, but right. They don't show the Golden Gate Bridge. So there's. So I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is like directly north of Denver, for those of you that may not know, by quite a ways. And there's there's something up here that's called Rainforest Events. And Rainforest was a book written out of Silicon Valley about the cross-pollination that happens when different people in the tech industries get together and meet. And so it's the idea that in the actual rainforest, in the Amazon rainforest, you have these micro communities, or not communities, these micro environments, and where, that's not the right word, micro, there's another word for it. Anyway, they have these small pockets, and then you have these cross-pollinizations where new species are coming out. So they took that idea and says, maybe what if we should put people in a room together just to meet and talk to each other who might have very different skill sets and see what comes out of that. And so they wrote the book Rainforest, and the startups here in Edmonton actually use that they have something every week or every 2 weeks on Wednesdays. Is Lunch Without Lunch, and it brings people together. And to be part of this, you actually have to agree to the intent of the rainforest, and that is to help other people out. So it's an agreement. It's not binding, of course. It's just trying to set a different mindset. But that really is kind of sets a tone, because when we do our networking in them, they say what you're looking for and how you can help other people. So I think it sets a really different tone, and I'm really glad that was brought up. John, you brought that up, right, about what we can do to help other people on that. So thanks for sparking that, because might as well set that tone now.
I think it was Chris's original idea, and I just expanded on it.
Okay, there you go, Chris, being value added again in my world all the live long day. So thank you very much on that. So Ming, have you heard of that rainforest or that idea? I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything on that, but
No.
It's still, it's like saying, oh, I know someone in Toronto, and going, yeah, like, on that. But I'm just wondering, that whole concept of, had you ever heard of that before, or anything like that, about the cross-pollination and bringing different people together?
But this sounds a pretty cool idea, and it makes sense too. So yeah.
And one of the coolest stories of it is that I was one day taking an Uber to, God, so long ago, a concert, and the guy, just like such a strange world. I think I was going to see City in Color, which is a band here up in Canada, and the Uber driver wrote a very specific type of code, and I introduced him to someone at Meetup, and he ended up getting a job out of that because of that kind of cross-pollination on it. So it's I'm reminded of Woody Allen's quote, and that is 80% of success is showing up, and just showing up and be there on that. Has anyone ever had that experience where you show up and you get these opportunities? John, has that ever happened where something's come about?
To all the time, not always big, but it's definitely happened. And it's also rewarding when you can, like you said earlier, help someone else out. I've introduced 4 couples who eventually got married. So that's something I'm very proud of. Just creating an event where people could meet each other, and I got 5 marriages out of it, or 4 marriages out of it. So,
matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find.
You just never know. You create the environment where people can have conversations, and you never know what's going to come out of it.
Right. Absolutely. But wouldn't you say it's really about your point of entry as to being in one of service, or trying to help, not what's in it for me, but because I find that when I go in there thinking about what I'm going to get out of it, it's a bit of a different tone, or has a bit of a different outcome on that. Do you have that experience where kind of your intense sense?
I do. I think I go in with a lower expectation of what I'm going to come out of it,
Okay.
And that puts me more at ease when I'm at the event.
Right, because you're not trying to accomplish something. You don't have an agenda that it's successful because I will have this outcome, or I have this hot lead, or something like that.
Or I just want to go out there with the hope of helping somebody else out, and then in doing that, it always comes back to you tenfold.
Right.
So, that's the attitude I go out with when I'm networking. Can I connect two people that will help them out? And then they're both they're gonna love me because I was able to bring them together. And that's what I liked about your show. You get to meet people, and you get to meet them in a cozier atmosphere, which is a lot more conducive to giving recommendations down the road.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's exactly the intent of it. So I'm glad that that's permeating through, for sure. It's interesting because what I'm mindful of when you say that about that intention of bringing people together and starting with that of going, how can I facilitate? How can I help other people with their problems on that? Is in a weird sort of way, when I talk to people, when I talk to my clients or anyone about shooting a video content, I will say that there are 3 things that a video must have if it's going to be engaging. And one of these 3 things, or all 3 things on them. But the first one is going to be about surprise and delight. Oh, I didn't see that coming. That is a really, that's minimally you should have a video with that. And then second to that is some sort of educational component of it, where you're actually educating people, and you don't have to surprise and delight, but minimally you want to educate people, because when we educate people, they become loyal because they feel like they have relief. But the pinnacle of a message, what I'm always wanting to have with my clients, and that I expect to have because my videos are not cheap, is calling people to a higher purpose. Call them to something out of themselves. Call them to something that's greater than themselves, because we're all looking for reasons to basically do something better. That's our meaning and purpose. If we think about it, very few people only do what they do for money. Very few people. And there's usually some meaning associated with that also. If I make this kind of money, then it's a status, or I get to buy this kind of stuff, right? It is the money, but it's really not the money. It's about what you can do with the money on that. So when you think about entering and saying, how can I be of service to other people? How can I make their lives better? It's a very similar idea as to calling into that higher purpose and wanting to have that, something greater to ourselves on that. And I think that right now, I think that the time is even more important that we do that we have that higher calling and whatnot due to the isolation. So, yeah. So we have about 35 more minutes before we're officially done, and I'm in mouse hell these days, not because I have mice in my house, but because my mouse is driving me crazy. It won't click when I go to click on something. I have to click it 4 or 5 times, and I've replaced it with this brand new one. Still happens. Now I had more issues come up with this. Has anyone ever had that where their mouse doesn't work? And I've tried 4 different mouses, Mises. Wireless thing.
Luke, is it wireless?
Yeah.
Is your flob? The problem could be your flob.
The flob?
Yeah, the flob, the little piece that connects to connects your
yeah.
mouse to your computer.
Could be broken, right?
No, it's Bluetooth. It goes right to the computer. I don't need that on this.
Okay.
Because they're directly. So this one is a brand new one, and it's got bells and whistles that I will never use. But yeah, it works with or without the this.
Okay.
On that, yeah. So what was happening is when I was using this one, the Bing, the notifications were. I actually was worried I wasn't going to be able to talk to you guys today because they were happening, and I had to remove it on that. And now, so with this Hewlett Packard one, what I get is this intermittent thing, and so they seem to work fine, and then they seem to denigrate. So I'm not sure, it may be my Bluetooth, I'm not sure what it is, but I've been looking into it, and then it's really flippin' annoying when you, right, have to click multiple times to get something done. So I have my computer guys calling me in half an hour for that, or just over half an hour. So Colin, what other questions did we have? Actually, I'm going to go use the bathroom really quick, so I'll let you take this from here if that's okay. And
those are all the questions that we had that I had written down. Like I just reading through my notes here again, as Luke threw me right last minute right under the bus there. Hey, by the way,
Colin, going into this endeavor, what would you define as success?
For the event itself, I think I'd define it as success if the participants came and made connections that were valuable to them and learned something that's valuable and applicable to their business or their life, depending on, or, you know.
How are you going to collect that information? How are you going to know if that occurs?
That's a good question. We hadn't thought about that. I typically do at the end of all my events. I always just ask that, put it in the chat. Tell me one thing that you learned that was useful for you as you came through here. And in that case, I would also ask, you know, did you meet somebody that you wanted to connect with that you felt would be helpful for you or your business and in some way, shape, or form, and put that into the chat or talk about it out loud, depending on the size of the group. That's how I always ask it. But that's a good question. Maybe we should do a survey afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I think there should be some sort of follow-up with people so that you get the feedback. This is something we do all the time in software development, right? We want to know what the user experience was, how it could be improved, and reaching out with a phone call is a lot more effective than, you know, like an email or something like that.
Absolutely. We are collecting their phone numbers too, right, Luke?
I think we'll have to look into that. I'm not sure.
I would recommend it.
Well, it's this idea that the more data you mine from people, the more reluctant they are to do it. So it's because people are extremely reluctant to give over their email addresses, and a phone number is even more so on that. So it's when people do surrender that information, they tend not to opt out later. So you have a less engagement when the more you ask for it, but they tend to stay longer on that. And so, you know, I guess the question is, would you guys right now feel comfortable enough giving me your phone number?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Chris, I would hope so.
Actually, I'm biased.
Well, here's
I usually don't give out my phone number, just the email.
Yeah.
Maybe a better question, because this is your podcast, Luke, and people are much more familiar with you. Would you guys be comfortable giving me your phone number? I'm not asking for it, but would you be
Absolutely not.
No, Luke threw you under the bus. Luke threw under the bus. If he's going to throw under the bus, I can't trust you. Yeah. And you know,
I think it's really, you know, if it depends upon your audience, right, and what they're coming into for networking. But a lot of business people are going to give out their phone number anyway because they want people to be able to access them, you know, call them.
Well, and there's also reality too of how, you know, diminishing returns on the amount of effort put in. Like somebody just recently gave me feedback about that the Here to There show should have a better description of who's going to be coming and who I'm going to be interviewing. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I know it should be, but the amount of work to do that is, and that as a potential benefit. So it's just weighing this out on that. And so I think there is an optics of asking for that personal information that might cause people to disengage. And we can ask them
make it optional also.
Yeah, absolutely. But
with we're compiling a list of attendees to share, because it is a networking event. We're compiling a list that will be shared with attendees of the attendees. So if you show up and you've provided your phone number, instead of having to spam everybody in the chat to try and trade contact information, we'll be providing that as a service at the end.
Okay.
Liz, how would you feel about that?
Well, I was thinking more, I had another idea about the the LinkedIn profile or Facebook profile or something that they, they can look you up with your full name and say, hey, I found you through this group. Do you want to link in this way?
Well, it
Yeah,
is
and that would
network-
give that kind of distance, not that kind of that knowing too much about them. Sorry, Colin, go ahead.
It is a networking event, so I mean, people should be providing some contact info, because if they're coming to a networking event not to provide contact info, do we really want them there? I guess that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't provide any contact info. I'm just saying, different
numbers.
options.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, that's always the legal and compliance perspective, right? You heard about this piracy thing, right? So it's not, we cannot collect those. So that's why a lot of website, they will tell you, okay, if I collect it, how am I going to use it? Or do I give you an opportunity to opt out, right?
Yeah.
So those are important too.
Or they say, I'm not going to sell your name to
Yeah,
any
right.
other company
Yeah.
and that sort of thing for a
Because
list.
it can get into some lawsuit, worst case, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
why I said if we just say we're going to share that with people who are in attendance at the meeting, and that's it.
Yeah, that would
If
help.
If you sign up but you don't show up, you don't get a copy. And that's that. So that's I think the portion for the people who are who show up and participate, that they get the
Right.
contact information.
The
so-
incentive. Mhm.
Yeah, because I think that's the reframe I needed to hear, because I don't even read, and I for many reasons, but I don't even go through the chat what people say after the call. Like after my webinars, I don't go through that, because it's a time thing, and it's just like, and probably I should, but I wouldn't be using people's phone numbers to call them up, even if I had that, right? Unless there was a really good reason for me to do that. But if it's to be able to share with other people, then that's a better justification for it, because like I won't call them anyway. So why would I want to gather that information? Right.
And
So
Colin, I think it's really important that one way or another, everybody ends up in a group with everybody else. There should not be, I shouldn't attend this event and not at least get some FaceTime with everybody, because, that will, make people more comfortable with having these people have their phone number.
Yeah, I think here's the challenge. If we've got 100 people, and we're limited by a 90-minute time window, right? Well, really a 60-minute time window, because we're educating in the beginning and the end. And to be able to get everybody in a room together like that to talk and coordinate is just, the time is too much.
Do you really think you'll get 100?
Well, if we were getting 100.
Yeah, you could also limit the attendees.
You
Yeah.
could, you could limit the size to the first 50.
Yeah.
Or whatever
Well-
size you feel would suffice to serve your purposes.
well, there's also isn't it once you get more than 100 people, then Zoom starts charging you more, or they unless you have the other service, you can't even do more than 100 people.
You can't, the others will be told that the room is filled.
Okay,
And then when somebody lose connection, they'll be able to be admitted.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a cap at 100 people.
It
No, that's not true. You are using
Well,
a
it
pay.
depends upon the free one.
Yeah,
the free
free
one.
one is
Not the lower priced one.
The free one
Whatever,
is
13
100.
something here.
But if you pay for it, I think it's 1,000.
No, there's different tiers on the paid one.
Yeah.
The initial boundary one is 100 for the standard, $200 or $150 US account is 100 people, unlimited time, unless they've changed it recently. But that's
Well, and do they have different rules in the States than in Canada too? I don't know. Like,
no, that's standard all the way across. But
Is that right? Okay.
just looking at the plans, I can look it up right now here. But yeah, different licenses. So you can host up to 100 participants. The licenses we have, Luke, host up to 100 participants, unlimited meetings, social media streaming, et cetera, et cetera. Then the larger ones, the small and medium business ones are up to 300 participants, but you have to have 10 licenses. So it's you have to have 10 different, like you and me would be 2 people, so 2 licenses. We need 8 more to be economical for the larger license.
So here's a question, and John, I'm going to start with you because you really sparked some good ideas, or you kind of helped me think of some stuff here. What would it be worth to you financially? How much to pay out of pocket for you to be able to get in front of other people? Because if we make it a smaller event where there's less people and everyone gets face to face with everyone in the room, so let's say we max it out to 20 people, so it's actually a good like 5-minute connection, maybe for both people or for whatever on that. What would you be willing to pay for that? Is that something you'd ever pay for?
I guess it would depend upon how targeted it is. Am I the only CPA in the group?
Mm-hmm.
You know, very unlikely that I'm going to end up with a client out of this. But if I get one client out of it, then it's definitely worth,
Yeah.
the price.
Right.
So it just depends, you know.
Also,
I like your idea of starting out as a loss leader and then finding out that information from your clients later on, asking them, how valuable was this to you? What would you be willing to pay for this in the future, so that you get a price point? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to have 4 people show up.
Right on that. And knowing, it's interesting because right now on free events, I'm running approximately 50% no-show rate on that. And in live events.
By the way, that's my experience with other organizations. If you get
50%.
2/3, if you get 2/3, you're really knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, pre-COVID, you expect 25% no-show rate. That's about what it is, right, Colin? The 25%, like from weddings to everything.
Yeah, it depends on the type of event and what you're doing, and the quality of the list and the quality of what you're presenting, and whether they've paid or it's free. So it can be anywhere around that stuff. I know on the webinar side, like all the free webinar loss leader ones, like that I've seen, it's pretty common to only have a 10 to 25% attendance rate of registrations, or it was pre-COVID. I don't know really what it is now, but yeah. So if you had 100 people register, it wouldn't be a surprise to only have 10 people show up.
Huh? Is that for a paid? That's for a free event.
That was for free.
On that. Yeah.
Now a paid one, you get a much higher attendance rate, even if it's like a low entrance of like $5 or $10 or $25, because people have some skin in the game, and so that attendance rate's much higher typically.
Right.
But you have to be way better to start charging something right at that point, because there has to be some perceived benefit or value to that participant that they're going to fork over that cash.
My experience with Meetup in general, I used to run a Meetup group a while ago, and just from talking to other Meetup organizers, it is basically half the people that sign up show up, and that's for free events.
Yeah. I know a woman, she's going to be my guest speaker in January. She actually has paid events and she still has no shows after they've paid. It's not as frequent. Like, I don't think she's asking, I think it's maybe $10. It's not as if it's a king's share, but still there's the common belief that if people are out of pocket for it, they're gonna show up. And that
also, some people just forget. That's the other issue.
What's that, Colin?
I said there's definitely always no shows even with paid events, but it's a lot less. It's typically with a paid event, you'll get 80 to 90% attendance.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that I just think that, people don't want to commit, or they might have 2 things that they want to do, so they kind of decide last moment. Like even today, there's someone that's RSVP'd for the Here to There show, and like at 1:00, and they still didn't show up, right?
Mhm.
And that happens on a regular basis. I'll have people sign on to get the link to the webinar and then not like when it's starting and they still not show up.
Well, that
That's
could
why-
be that they're having technical issues though.
That's
Something like
a
that.
good, yeah. It's happened quite a bit on a regular basis. So yeah, so it might be the technical issues or whatnot, but
Actually, I'll be honest, I've signed up for stuff like literally when it's starting.
Yeah.
And I'll go and like within the first 2 minutes, I'm like, no, this is boring, and I'm out. So I know that person didn't show up, like, or it was boring to me, I should say. I shouldn't say it was boring because it's just not what I thought it was going to be when I signed up.
Right.
And it's
I've seen
possible-
other people do that.
yeah. And when they get the confirmation, they maybe reread it and realize, oh, that's not what I thought it was, and decide not to show up after that.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Or something happened and they had some other issue.
My rule is I just don't take it personally.
yeah.
Good idea.
Well, I can. It just won't. Where does it get you, right?
For every network, I would favor always keeping free events going where anyone could just without the barrier of entry. And if there are paid events, which I think would be good to add, then you can say, okay, maybe if it's for a mastermind or if it's for deeper networking or something else of value, then people could be expected to pay for something on top. That's just that's what I would do. But
right. So Ming, I want to ask the same question for you about what would the promise need to be for you to pay out of pocket for something, a networking event? Does anything come to mind, and what would be a reasonable price for you to attend?
Well, to be honest, because nowadays a lot of things, a lot of topics, if you want to learn something, you can find so many free content, right?
Yeah.
So then if you want to charge, you need to be able to provide some value. I cannot find somewhere else that's free.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what is unique about that, right? So not necessarily just the content, it could be the format, right? Because like, for example, I can go to YouTube to learn so many different things, but I have no one I can talk to ask questions. Then
Right.
one of the quote unquote the live event, the advantage, I can ask questions, right? So yeah, I can get a little bit more personalized experience.
Got
And
it.
the other thing is maybe that what you can offer afterward too, right?
Yeah. As what kind of so really we're still talking about what value the
Yes.
perceived
Yes.
value on that, which
Right.
is nothing new, right? That's
Right.
Take that a step
Yes.
further, I think.
what's that, Colin?
I think I could take that a little step further. It's not just the value, but it's also the entertainment factor that you provide. So people go to Tony Robbins as an example over and over and over again, not just because of the value of what he provides,
True.
but because he's entertaining as hell to watch and participate. And like he starts off the entire event, DJ blasting, live bands blasting, all kinds of stuff. And like there's an energy and an excitement to that, and that entertainment value. Hold on, I just saw this. I'll show it to you. Some of the greatest teachers of all time taught virtually. Mr. Rogers, Bob, the painter guy. I'm trying to remember his name.
Bob the Builder.
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
All right.
Bob the Builder. Yeah. Sesame Street taught virtually. John Irwin, the guy who died with the Stingray, the Australian guy there. Everything was done on TV. So all those things were really, really entertaining, but they were essentially virtual in one way. And so I think a lot of people have forgotten, or at least giving all this free stuff over the last 8 months, you still got to be really entertaining. And if you're really entertaining, people are willing to pay for entertainment.
So you were saying, you're just sharing with me recently that you've been going to events, and what's been wanting is the energy level. So you want to just talk some more about that a little more?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So as a presenter, as somebody who's on the giving end of doing these presentations. And I've been doing Zoom training now for about 3 years. And before that, I was doing it via webinar. And I realized as I was watching the videos in the beginning, especially, I was really, really boring. And it wasn't that I wasn't giving my energy. Like, I was doing the exact same thing I was doing on stage with live audiences, but because there was no interaction and I wasn't seeing and getting the energy back from those people. And even with you guys here right now, I can see your heads nodding because of the Zoom and the video and everything, but it's not the same as being in person. And I think we can all agree it's not the same. And to get around that as the presenter, you have to give, it's almost like 140%, 150% of what you would normally do in a live presentation. And it's just something of, I don't know, maybe Ming, you can talk about that technology. Whatever it is, something in the technology doesn't come across at regular 80, 90%. You have to bring yourself at 140, 150, 200%, depending on your personality and what you're doing. And then you're actually still connecting on a way that you would normally in person. It's the same with teachers and teaching. But if you watch like Bob Vila or the painting guy or Mr. Rogers, there's an energy about those guys that they had. And the same thing with comedians. If you watch them on TV, there's an energy. And if you can duplicate or not, you don't have to be them, but you have to be more of yourself than you normally are. And that's really important, especially in this virtual environment.
Yeah, and to this day, it's not unusual for me needing to have a nap after one of my webinars. Like I kid you not, I am, because it's, and especially if I'm not, it's the draining, but it's there have been times when I've had like a dozen, 20 people and no one, no, I'm going to say a dozen people, and no one has their video camera on, and it's purely trust that my content is good enough that I'm going. I'm purely trusting that my content, because I've done this content so much, some of this content I've been doing for years, but literally it is like, I just have to trust I'm making an impact on them, because you get nothing. That, you know, language is only 7% of communication, right? It's such a small part of that. And everything else is, you know, how much we you know, feedback and how much we get from what we're seeing from monitoring the field. And my 13-year-old daughter just had a massive blow up problem with her mother, who I share custody with my children with their mother. And it was all because it started on a text. And it was like my daughter sent a little snotogram and her mother reacted and it went off the rails. And on that, so you know, it's so easy for it to not go well, and that's why I hate texting. It's my least favorite way of communicating, because it can so easily be misconstrued, you know.
Right, you can't hear somebody's inflection, so you don't know what their intent is.
Yeah,
Causes a lot of arguments.
I wrote some copy that Colin took a look at a while ago, and I capitalized some stuff. And the feedback you gave me, Colin, was it looks like you're yelling at people, and that was that wasn't even on a text message. It was just some sort of something I was communicating. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it's very problematic to have that. So,
you'll see with really professional speakers, like in that webinar Zoom format, like it's great with the Zoom feedback, but in a webinar format, I just did a webinar last week where I couldn't see anybody. And the only feedback there was chat, but I'm busy presenting, so I can't read the chat during that period. And I know the material did the work because all the material I was using was already tested on live audiences long before. So I had the advantage of those live audiences, so that I know the material is doing what it's supposed to do. But a lot of people, especially, like it's funny, the first thing that sprang up as soon as COVID hit and everybody was doing Zoom stuff is, just become a speaker and you can charge thousands of dollars, blah, blah, blah. And you don't even have to be good. And and then people I don't know how many free webinars people have been on here. I went to quite a few. I still go to them, but the people talking are just boring, boring, boring. And but I understand why, because they haven't been able to test this stuff out on an audience. Like if you went to see like Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle or like a major comedian, the material they're using has been tested out in, on audience after audience after audience. In Europe, they call them warm-ups, like Ricky Gervais. I went and warmed up here, here, and here, so that he knows that the material is good no matter what the audience is, because he knows how they're going to react. And that's one of the hard things about this live format now.
And you know, Colin, to add to that, in Zoom, if I want to make eye contact with you, I have to look down at my monitor. Mm-hmm. But if I want you to feel like I'm making eye contact, I actually can't even look at you. I have to look into my...
You have to look at your camera.
My camera, like I am right now, but I'm not getting any feedback from the audience. Yeah. And that's why but subconsciously, when you see people looking down, it also tends to be a sign that they're lying. And so I think it's harder to build credibility over Zoom than we have in live presentation. I do much better in live presentations also. I mean, it's not even close.
So one thing that I do to sort of get around that when I'm present, like right now, because it's a small group, present. John, I'm looking at you on my screen, and I'm sure, I'm looking down, like I can kind of see the corner of my eye. To look so that there's connecting, I have to look almost at myself, and it's weird looking at myself and talking.
That's right. You're not truly making eye contact when you're looking into the camera, and that's a big flaw of Zoom and all of these virtual formats. That why once COVID passes, there will be a drop off in this, because people are going to want to go back to that live, because like Luke said, you're much more energized when you're giving the presentation. Because I bring my just seeing the audience, it brings my A game out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very hard in an environment like this to have that energy.
So let's test that right now. So I'm staring right at the camera right now. Does it look like I'm looking at you?
It does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
I thought you were going to say, okay, everyone look at the camera and see how that. Okay, that's not going to work.
Now I'm looking at myself, which is about an inch below the camera. Does it still look like I'm looking at you?
It looks like you're looking a little bit lower. Yeah, we can tell that you're looking a little lower.
So it is literally, you have to look right at the camera.
You have to look right at the camera, and you have to rely on your peripheral vision to get that feedback, but you're not going to get enough. And I always look at the person I'm talking to. So I'm looking at you right now, but I know it doesn't look like now it's looking like I'm looking at you, because I'm looking into my camera.
Yeah.
So probably, well, I'm thinking of teleprompters, and how, like, if the camera's so far away that it doesn't look like they're reading the teleprompter on it, because of the technology that they have on that, right? It actually looks like they're looking, or even newscasters, right? They still look, because where the camera is and how far it away is on that type of stuff, right? And so probably that's not helping also with Zoom, is that, and I'm told on a regular basis, this is where my monitor usually lives. And people say you're too far away. So I constantly have to remember to do this. No, not that. That could have not been good.
Remember to smash my monitor on the ground.
That's right. So how'd the Zoom call go today? Good, until I wrecked my 23-inch monitor. Anyway. That's really good.
One thing I want to bring up. So because part of my job, I have to do training. So all the in-person training is gone, right? So we have to think about, actually we try a couple of times how to do it in a virtual way. So to be honest, the biggest enemy is the worst side with the distraction. Because you are looking at the computer, right? So your Outlook may pop up something, your Messenger will pop up something, right? So there's so many things happen, right?
Yeah.
And in particular, you have a multiple monitor, and even you make a full screen for your Zoom, you may have another monitor, right?
Yeah.
So, but to be honest, even in person, so before the cell phone come out, so if you can get people to a room, pretty much you get their attention. But when we start the new generation with all this cell phone and in particular the smartphone, even people go into a physical room, think about how many people are really focused.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
Yeah, and I can speak to that a little bit. So in the keynote speaking world, the benchmark of whether the material you have is entertaining enough and engaging enough and educational enough is if they can put their phone down 95% or more of the time. And it's a really hard, it's hard to write for it. It's hard to deliver for it. Like there's multiple things that are going on. And I can watch people, well, in live events, I haven't been able to obviously watch people do it now, but at live events, I always find it, any speaker, anybody who's talking that is engaging enough that the people won't pick up their cell phone most of the time, that's the kind of entertainment I'm talking about. And then to go back to what we were talking about before on Zoom, it's possible, but you have to bump yourself up to 150%-ish. I'm using a random number there. That's what it feels like for me when I'm on a real Zoom and presenting on
Like
full.
almost twice the effort.
Yeah, it is. Just to be regularly engaging of what is normally happening live.
Right. I'm noticing the time. I do have to. I'm going to have a call here right away. So, is there any last comments before we?
I just have one question about. You said you're going to have a little section up front on training.
Yeah.
Is that going to be training on how to address somebody in a networking event, or what is that training going to comprise of?
Want me to field that one, or you?
Go ahead. I was just wondering if you wanted to.
Yeah,
I've already thrown you under the bus once today. So,
well, because we had sort of talked about that, and the one of the things that we had seen in lots of networking events is people don't really know how to network. Like they just like they spray and pray, they throw their stuff out there, but nobody wants to talk to them because they're just here's my stuff. I'm not here. I'm not interested in anything that you're offering. It's only me. So doing some education just on how to actually connect and be genuine and build that relationship portion on that networking side.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. Excellent question.
I did see a negative example of what not to do. Like I don't want to tell where, but there's a place where there's a breakout room. You got a bunch of people together, and I literally saw, seriously, could you not, to take Luke's expression, this, someone gets up, she gives her spiel, and then you see she just walks out of her chair. I'm this is no joke. And
that's rude.
And if you turn off the camera and go on mute, then no one knows that she got out of her chair.
That's what you're
and it's
supposed
okay. But like, I'm like, this is, WTF. I mean,
I wonder if she was even cognizant of the fact that she did that, or how bad that looks, right?
Hold on, Chris. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's right. Chris, what an excellent idea. Just really gone on that. Okay, so that's something we might have to cue people on. So on that note, I'm going to call this the 8th installment of the Here to There show to officially close.
One last comment, Luke.
Oh, yeah.
For you guys, I would plant a couple good experienced networkers in your audience so that they can guide the groups that they're in.
Yeah. Chris is agreeing with that with a big old heart. So,
great idea.
Yeah. Each breakout room should have a leader.
Yeah. And that, so definitely was on our radar. Okay. Thank you very much. And you guys have a great day. And everyone stayed right to the end. I really appreciate that. And thanks for spending your Monday with us.
I feel like you guys got some good, although we were asking, but I feel like everybody got a really good thought process around everything here.
Yeah. Our own little mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited for the networking event.
Okay.
I hope I get invited.
I do too.
It will be in your meetup this week.
Good.
Okay, you guys
All
all
right.
take care. Thanks
All
a lot.
right.
care.
Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.
Bye.